The man who built rockets backwards. Everyone laughed. The idea was insane. A man with no background in rocket science said he would send people to Mars. And not just anyone, a man who had already burned through the millions he made from PayPal, putting his money into electric cars that barely worked and rockets that kept falling from the sky. 3 rockets. 3 explosions. Each failure cost millions of dollars and years of effort. SpaceX was out of money. People were quitting. Reporters were calling him a fool. His own friends told him to stop. But Elon Musk didn't stop. He was rebuilding rockets almost from scratch. Testing, failing, fixing, failing again. Engineers joked that they were building rockets backwards because the process was so chaotic. Yet Elon didn't blink. He slept in the factory. He read rocket books like people read bedtime stories. He pushed and pushed, until one day, the 4th rocket took off. And this time, it didn't come back down in pieces. Title: The inspirational success story Elon Musk sparkles intro, young dreamer in South Africa. In Pretoria, South Africa, a small boy named Elon looked up at the stars. The night sky felt like a promise. Even as a child, he felt different. While other children played outside, Elon stayed inside, reading books about rockets and space. He carried his favorite book with him everywhere. In school, kids teased him. They called him weirdo or bookworm. Elon didn't smile back. He just kept reading. He discovered science fiction, stories about distant worlds, daring heroes, and amazing technology. These stories fired up his imagination. At age 12, Elon learned to write computer code. He spent days teaching himself. Then he built his first video game, called Blaster. He sold it for about $500. To many around him, it was a small thing. But for Elon, it was proof he could learn, create, and make a real product with his own hands. Even at that young age, he faced setbacks. His computer crashed. Hours of work vanished. But Elon simply started again. He didn't complain. He didn't quit. He coded his game again, and made it better. Life at home was also difficult. His parents separated. Money was tight. But instead of giving up, Elon found comfort in books and ideas. He dreamed of a future where his inventions would change the world. By the time he turned 18, Elon decided he would leave South Africa. He wanted bigger challenges. He wanted to be part of something larger. With a suitcase in hand and his dreams in his heart, he boarded a plane to North America. He had no plan except this: he would learn, he would work, and he would build something that mattered. Rocket Part 1: The Seed of Fire. The story of Elon Musk, early life in simple English. Globe showing Europe Africa Chapter 1, A Quiet Boy with Loud Dreams. Elon Musk was born in Pretoria, South Africa, on June 28, 1971. From the moment he could talk, he asked questions, many, many questions. His mother, May, once said that Elon never stopped thinking, even when he was very small. He wanted to know how things worked. Why the sky was blue. Why rockets flew. Why people fought wars. He would sit alone for hours, just thinking. His father, Elon Musk, was an engineer and sailor. Elon sometimes went on adventures with him, like riding through deserts or building things with machines. But their relationship would grow difficult as Elon got older. Elon was not like other kids. He wasn't good at sports. He didn't like noise. He read books, thousands of them. Science fiction, physics, history, computer manuals. While others played soccer, he sat quietly, reading stories about space and technology. His classmates thought he was strange. Many bullied him. They hit him, kicked him, once pushed him down a flight of stairs. He ended up in the hospital. But Elon didn't fight back. Instead, he turned deeper into his world of dreams. He believed in ideas more than people. He would often say, "I want to save the future." He was serious, even as a kid. Laptop Computer Chapter 2, A Boy and His First Computer. When Elon was 10 years old, he saw a computer for the first time. It was a Commodore VIC-20, and it changed his life. The machine was slow and had very little memory, but to Elon, it was a door to another universe. He begged his father to buy it for him. When he got it, he didn't just play games on it, he wanted to understand how it worked. The manual was supposed to take 6 months to read. Elon finished it in 3 days. He started writing code. At age 12, he created a simple space shooting game called Blaster. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. He sold the code to a computer magazine for $500. It was Elon's first income from technology. He was proud, but more than money, it was proof that he could build things from nothing. People around him still didn't understand him. Teachers thought he was too quiet. Kids still bullied him. But Elon now had a new world where he could win: computers. Books Chapter 3, Escape in the Pages. Books were Elon's best friends. He read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a science fiction story that said the answer to life was 42, but only if you asked the right question. Elon took that idea seriously. He didn't just want answers. He wanted the right questions. He read Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, and Robert Heinlein. These were stories about faraway planets, robots, and bold scientists. Elon didn't just enjoy the stories, he believed they were possible. He started to think. Why shouldn't we go to Mars? Why shouldn't we build better energy? Why shouldn't we change the world? This kind of thinking stayed with him. While other teenagers were thinking about friends, dates, and dances, Elon was thinking about space travel and the future of humanity. House Chapter 4, A Difficult Home. Elon's family life wasn't easy. His parents divorced when he was 9. He lived with his father for some time, but they didn't always get along. Later, Elon would say his childhood had a lot of pain that taught him to be tough inside. Even so, Elon kept learning. He wasn't always top of the class in school, but only because he didn't try to be. If a subject interested him, he became an expert. If it didn't, he ignored it. Teachers called him distracted, but really, he was just focused on the future. Globe Showing America's Chapter 5, The Decision to Leave. By the time he was 17, Elon knew something very clearly. I need to get out of South Africa. He didn't want to serve in the South African military, which at that time supported apartheid, a racist system. He didn't believe in hate. He believed in ideas. Also, South Africa felt too small for his dreams. He wanted to go where the future was being built. He wanted to go to America, the land of Silicon Valley, NASA, and freedom to invent. But Elon had no job, no home in the US, and no money. What he had was a Canadian passport. His mother was born in Canada. So he made a plan. Go to Canada, then find a way into the US from there. In 1989, with nothing but a suitcase, Elon left South Africa at age 17. He said goodbye to his home, his friends, and his past, and stepped into the unknown. Maple Leaf Chapter 6, Cold, Poor, and Working Hard. Elon arrived in Canada and stayed with relatives. Life there wasn't easy. He took any job he could find, cleaning boiler rooms, shoveling dirt, farming. At one point, he worked in a lumber mill carrying heavy logs. The work was hard. The pay was low. But Elon didn't care. He wasn't chasing comfort. He was chasing a dream. He enrolled in Queen's University in Ontario, Canada. There he met a girl named Justine, who would later become his first wife. Elon was still quiet and shy, but people who knew him said he had deep thoughts and strong energy. He talked about space and the future, even then. After 2 years, Elon transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the US, studying physics and economics. Finally, he was in the country of his dreams. He worked long hours, sometimes slept under his desk. He was poor, but he didn't complain. He said, "I would rather eat noodles and dream big than live small and play safe." Brain Chapter 7. The Man Who Asked Big Questions. At Penn, Elon started writing down huge goals. Build an online bank. Create a new kind of energy company. Build rockets to Mars. These were not school projects. These were his real goals. He studied books on rockets, engineering, and energy in his spare time. He told his classmates that one day, humans would live on other planets. Most of them laughed. But Elon didn't laugh. He believed every word. He once said, "When something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor." Key Chapter 8, From Dreamer to Builder. After college, Elon applied for a job at a big internet company. They didn't hire him. So he did something better, he started his own company. It was called Zip2, an online business directory, kind of like an early version of Google Maps plus Yelp. Elon worked night and day, sleeping on a beanbag next to his desk. The company grew fast. 4 years later, he sold Zip2 for $307 million. He made $22 million for himself. At 28 years old, Elon was rich. But instead of buying a yacht or retiring, he did something strange. He started again. He took most of his money and built a new company. This one was called X.com, which later became PayPal. Why? Because Elon didn't want to be rich. He wanted to build the future. Chapter 9, The Internet Millionaire Who Walked Away. When Elon Musk sold his second company, PayPal, in 2002, he became a multimillionaire. He made $180 million from the deal. Anyone else might have stopped there. They might have bought a private island, a football team, or taken long vacations for the rest of their life. But Elon Musk was different. He didn't care about just money. He cared about the future. He sat alone and asked himself a strange question. What are the most important problems that I can help solve? His answer was bold. 1. The world must stop using oil. 2. Space travel must become cheap and common. 3. The internet must help people more. He had already done the internet part. Now, he wanted to fix energy and space. Everyone thought he was crazy. But Elon didn't care. He once said, "I didn't go into the car or rocket business to make money. I thought these things needed to be done." Chapter 10, The Cars That Nobody Believed in. At the time, electric cars were considered a joke. They were slow, ugly, expensive. People laughed at the idea that anyone would want one. The big car companies didn't even try to make them better. But Elon saw a different future. He believed electric cars could be fast, clean, and beautiful. He believed the oil industry was destroying the planet. He didn't want to wait for governments or corporations to change. So, he looked for people who believed what he believed. In 2004, he met a small group of engineers in California. They had a dream, to build an electric sports car. Their company was called Tesla Motors. They didn't have much money. They didn't have a working car. Elon joined them. Not as a silent investor. He became chairman, gave them his own money, and began pushing the team hard. Some days he was encouraging. Other days he was demanding. But always, he was focused. He wanted a car that could go fast, look cool, and run only on electricity. They began working on the Tesla Roadster, their first car. But the road was bumpy. The car kept breaking. The parts were too expensive. The battery overheated. Delays stretched for years. People started mocking Tesla. They'll never build a real car, journalists said. But Elon didn't give up. He believed. Persistence is very important, he said. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. Chapter 11, The Man Who Loved Mars. At the same time, Elon started thinking more and more about space. Not just as science fiction, but as something urgent and real. He believed Earth would not last forever. Climate change, wars, overpopulation, these were all risks. He thought the best way to protect humanity was to become a multi-planet species. And the first step? Go to Mars. In 2001, Elon had an idea. What if he bought a rocket and sent a plant to Mars? Just a tiny greenhouse to prove that life could grow there. He called the idea Mars Oasis. He traveled to Russia to buy a used rocket. The Russians laughed at him and told him the price, $8 million for one rocket. Elon walked out. On the plane ride back, he opened his laptop. He started calculating how much it would cost to build a rocket from scratch. He turned to his friend and said, I think we can build this ourselves. That was the birth of SpaceX, Space Exploration Technologies Corp. Chapter 12. Building rockets without experience. Elon Musk was not a rocket scientist. He had never worked for NASA. He had no aerospace degree. But he believed he could learn. He started reading books, dozens of them, on rocket propulsion, physics, and orbital mechanics. He hired smart engineers. He rented a warehouse in Hawthorne, California, and started building. People thought he was out of his mind. But Elon had a rule. If the laws of physics allow it, then it's possible. His goal was simple: build a rocket that could fly to space and come back, reusable, cheap, and reliable. NASA rockets cost hundreds of millions of dollars and were used only once. Elon wanted rockets that cost a fraction of that, and could be reused like airplanes. The first rocket SpaceX built was called Falcon 1. The team worked night and day. They tested engines in the desert. Sometimes they slept in tents. Elon visited every week, asking questions, pushing the limits. He put in his own money, $100 million. Failure was not an option. Chapter 13, The First Launch, and the First Explosion. In March 2006, after 4 years of work, Falcon 1 was ready to fly. The SpaceX team flew to the Marshall Islands, a remote site near the equator. Elon was nervous. But hopeful. They counted down. 3, 2, 1, ignition. The rocket rose. But just 25 seconds later, it exploded. The cause? A fuel leak. Years of work, gone in seconds. The team was crushed. Some cried. Some blamed each other. Investors panicked. Reporters mocked the company. Elon didn't shout or cry. He looked at the data and said, "We've learned something. We'll fix it. We'll go again." That was his mindset. Always forward. Always learning. Chapter 14, Betting Everything on the Future. Between 2006 and 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX were in trouble. Tesla's Roadster was not ready. The cost to build it kept rising. Elon had to fire staff and take over as CEO. SpaceX had launched 2 more rockets. Both failed. Elon was nearly broke. He had put almost all his money into these companies. People close to him begged him to stop. They said, "Elon, you've done enough. You don't need to lose everything." But Elon didn't listen. He believed in what he was building. He believed the future was worth fighting for. In late 2008, he told his teams, "We have enough money for one more launch. Just one." That 4th rocket had to work. Or SpaceX would die. Chapter 15, The Rocket That Changed Everything. On September 28, 2008, Falcon 1 was ready again. The sun rose over the Pacific Ocean. The engineers stood by their monitors. Elon sat silently, his hands clenched. The countdown began. This time, it was different. The rocket rose. Clean. Steady. Past the danger zone. Past the point of past failures. And then, Falcon 1 reached orbit. The room exploded in cheers. Grown men wept. Elon smiled, a tired, quiet smile. Years of risk. All the money. All the pain. And now, success. A few months later, NASA called. They offered SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. SpaceX was saved. So was Tesla. Elon had done the impossible. Chapter 16, What This Meant. Elon Musk could have retired at 30. Instead, he risked everything to fix three big problems. 1. Dirty energy, Tesla. 2. Human extinction risk, SpaceX. 3. Innovation slowdown, inspired the tech world to think bigger again. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't rely on degrees. He didn't give up, even when the world laughed at him. He believed in the future. And he fought for it. Chapter 17, Fire in the Mind, Steel in the Heart. By 2009, Elon Musk was a man transformed. He had nearly lost everything. His companies had been laughed at, doubted, and nearly destroyed. He had been called arrogant, crazy, even dangerous. But somehow, he was still standing. SpaceX had reached orbit. Tesla had delivered its first cars. The mission was alive. But success came at a price. Chapter 18, Sleep was a luxury. During the early years of building Tesla and SpaceX, Elon often slept only 4 to 5 hours a night. He split his week like this. Monday and Thursday, Tesla, in Silicon Valley. Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday, SpaceX, in Los Angeles. Weekends, emails, strategy, travel, kids, when possible. He flew back and forth in a small jet. Often he worked 16 to 18 hours a day. No breaks. No vacations. No rest. Work like hell, he said. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week. This improves the odds of success. Some days, he worked on the factory floor helping fix machines. Other days, he met engineers until 3 a.m. designing rocket nozzles. Elon was not just a boss. He was obsessed. Chapter 19, Leading with Intensity. Elon Musk is not a soft leader. He pushes people hard. He demands excellence. If he sends you an email, you might get a question like, "Why isn't this done yet? Have you thought about the physics of this system? Why do you think this will actually work?" His teams say he expects more than most humans can give. Some people can't take it and quit. Others rise to the challenge. An engineer once said, "Working with Elon is like staring into the sun. It burns, but it lights the way." Elon can be harsh, but he is focused. He doesn't ask others to do more than he does himself. He works longer, reads more, and pushes himself harder than anyone around him. He doesn't do it for ego. He does it because he believes our future depends on it. Chapter 20, Pain Behind the Genius. But behind the work was pain. In interviews, Elon often teared up when talking about his struggles. He was deeply lonely during the hardest years. In 2008, his first marriage fell apart. He later said, "It's very difficult to have a personal life when you're trying to run two companies that are on the edge of failure." He missed birthdays, school events, even sleep. The stress was so high, he sometimes shook uncontrollably from anxiety. He said, "I didn't think we'd survive. I thought both Tesla and SpaceX would die. It felt like staring into the abyss while chewing glass. But he didn't quit. Because if he quit, the dream died. Chapter 21, The rockets were prepared backwards. In interviews, Elon once joked. "We were learning so much, we basically built the rocket backwards." He meant that the team at SpaceX didn't have a traditional plan. They didn't have decades of knowledge. They weren't NASA. Instead, they failed forward. They built. It broke. They fixed. They flew again. Over and over. Elon called it first principles thinking, breaking a problem down to its basic parts, ignoring tradition, and building new solutions from the ground up. He didn't care how rockets used to be built. He cared about how rockets should be built. Chapter 22, A Vision That Didn't Die. As Tesla and SpaceX began to rise, Elon started dreaming even bigger. He announced plans to send humans to Mars. He began working on self-driving cars. He started building solar energy and batteries to power homes. He opened gigafactories to mass-produce electric parts. He even started the Boring Company to build tunnels under cities. People mocked these ideas at first. But they had mocked Tesla. They had mocked SpaceX. They had said reusable rockets were impossible. By 2015, those rockets were landing upright on drone ships in the ocean. He was changing the world. Chapter 23, Why He Kept Going. Even when he had billions of dollars, even when he had respect, Elon didn't stop. Why? Because for him, this was never about money. He once said, "I could be on a beach with a drink right now. I don't want that. I want to solve problems." He believed Earth might not survive forever. He believed people were wasting time arguing while the planet was dying. He believed most companies only cared about profit, not purpose. He wanted to build a future worth living in. So he kept going. Even when it hurt. Chapter 24, The Man Who Didn't Give Up. The reason Elon Musk's story matters is not just because he got rich. Many people get rich. The reason his story matters is because he kept going when his rockets exploded. His cars failed. His engineers quit. The media mocked him. His health broke down. His money ran out. His friends left. Even he doubted himself. But he still didn't stop. Because the dream mattered more than the pain. Because humanity deserved a better future. Because someone had to believe. Blue Book Lesson from Part 1. The Seed of Fire. Elon Musk didn't get here because he was the smartest. He got here because he never gave up. He read. He worked. He failed. He tried again. He believed that if rockets were exploding, maybe we were preparing them backward, but that didn't mean we should stop. It meant we should learn faster. You don't have to be born a genius. You just have to care more than most people ever will. And then not give up when things go wrong. That is how the fire begins. That is how Part 1 ends. Elon Musk's journey did not slow down after the hard-won victories of SpaceX's first successful rocket launch and Tesla's Roadster finally making it to the road. In fact, the real challenges were just beginning. While many would consider reaching orbit or launching a functioning electric sports car a sign of having made it, for Elon Musk, these were merely stepping stones on a path with no visible end. He was not just building companies, he was attempting to build the future. With the successes of 2008 and 2009 barely in the rearview mirror, Elon found himself more determined than ever to accelerate his vision. Tesla needed to become more than a novelty car company for rich environmentalists. It had to become a company capable of producing affordable, mass-market electric vehicles that could change the world's relationship with fossil fuels. SpaceX, meanwhile, had its sights set on NASA contracts, but Elon was already thinking about Mars. In the early 2010s, Tesla unveiled the Model S, a luxury sedan with cutting-edge technology, long battery life, and sleek design. Critics were initially skeptical. Could a startup car company really compete with giants like BMW, Mercedes, and Audi? The Model S answered that question definitively. With rave reviews, including being named Motor Trend's Car of the Year, Tesla had gone from a dream to a threat to the global auto industry. Elon had personally overseen much of the design and engineering, often sending emails at 2 or 3 a.m. asking about the location of a bolt or the need for a software update. But success came with enormous pressure. Tesla's production lines were slow, its costs were too high, and delays became common. Elon poured more of his own money and time into solving every problem. He slept on the factory floor, demanded impossible deadlines from his team, and pushed himself to physical and emotional limits. He expected everyone around him to work with the same urgency. Burnout became common among staff, and turnover was high. Still, Elon pushed forward. At SpaceX, the goals were just as ambitious. After securing a cargo delivery contract with NASA, SpaceX became the first private company to deliver supplies to the International Space Station. That achievement was historic, but Elon wanted more. He wanted humans on Mars. To make that dream a reality, he needed reusable rockets. Traditional rockets were thrown away after each launch, making spaceflight incredibly expensive. Elon believed that by landing and reusing rockets, the cost of getting to space could drop by orders of magnitude. The first attempts at landing a rocket failed spectacularly. Rockets tipped over, exploded, or missed their targets. The public mocked the idea. But Elon believed in what he called failure with data. Each crash gave engineers new information. Each mistake led to improvements. And then, in December 2015, SpaceX successfully landed a Falcon 9 rocket booster upright on solid ground. It was a moment that changed spaceflight forever. This achievement unlocked new possibilities. NASA took notice. So did the world. Elon's dream of a Mars mission no longer seemed like science fiction. Plans for the Starship rocket, a fully reusable spacecraft capable of carrying humans to the Moon and Mars, began to take shape. In the meantime, SpaceX continued to develop and deploy the Falcon Heavy, the most powerful rocket since the Saturn V, and launch constellations of Starlink satellites to bring global internet coverage. Tesla was also evolving. The Model X SUV launched with unique Falcon wing doors and high safety ratings. Tesla began building massive factories, known as gigafactories, to produce batteries and cars at scale. The Model 3, Tesla's attempt at a more affordable electric car, faced early production nightmares. Elon described the process as production hell, with missed targets and logistical chaos. He once said he was sleeping under his desk at the factory, unwilling to leave until problems were solved. Despite the chaos, Model 3 eventually became a massive success. Orders poured in from around the globe. Tesla's stock, which had been battered by short sellers and skeptical analysts, began to rise. The company turned profitable. For the first time, legacy automakers began to take Tesla seriously. Some even tried to copy its technology and business model. But being at the top brought new challenges. Elon became increasingly controversial. His tweets moved markets. He insulted critics, made bold and sometimes reckless statements, and attracted lawsuits and fines from regulators. He smoked marijuana during a podcast, sending Tesla's stock into a tailspin. Critics called him unstable, arrogant, and dangerous. Yet, through all of this, the vision remained. Tesla continued to innovate, releasing new software features like autonomous driving and over-the-air updates. SpaceX launched astronauts into space aboard the Crew Dragon capsule, marking the first time a private company had done so. Neuralink and the Boring Company, two of Elon's newer ventures, also made progress. Neuralink worked on brain-machine interfaces. The Boring Company began digging tunnels under cities to create high-speed transportation systems. Even as the world debated his every move, Elon kept building. He kept pushing. He didn't stop when rockets exploded. He didn't stop when factories stalled. He didn't stop when people laughed, sued, or doubted him. Elon Musk had decided long ago that building the future was more important than protecting his reputation. By the early 2020s, Tesla was the most valuable car company in the world. SpaceX was preparing for crewed missions to the moon. Elon Musk had become the richest man on Earth, but he often said he didn't care about wealth. He sold his mansions and most of his possessions. He lived in a small house near the SpaceX site in Texas. His eyes were set on the stars. Because in Elon's mind, Earth was just the beginning. He knew the road to Mars would be longer, harder, and riskier than anything before. But he had no plans to stop. As he often said, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. And for Elon Musk, nothing was more important than the future of humanity. Woman astronaut, the road to Mars, and the lessons along the way. Elon Musk's life by the late 2020s looked almost unbelievable. His journey from a struggling entrepreneur, pouring every last cent into his dreams, to the richest man alive with rockets on Mars, seemed like the plot of a science fiction novel. But it was real. And more importantly, it wasn't luck or chance that brought him there. It was relentless work, belief, and a refusal to give up. After proving that reusable rockets could land safely back on Earth, SpaceX began launching dozens of missions a year. The Starlink satellite network was growing rapidly, promising global internet access and funding SpaceX's bigger ambitions. Starship, the massive next-generation rocket, began test flights. Some exploded. Some failed to ignite. Others tipped over during landing. But Elon stayed calm. Failure is an option here, he said. If things are not failing, you're not innovating enough. Each failure taught the team something. And eventually, the failures stopped. Starship lifted off, soared into orbit, and landed successfully. Elon watched from mission control, arms crossed, then raised in victory. The dream of interplanetary life had passed another test. Tesla, meanwhile, was now the largest electric vehicle company in the world. The Model 3 had become the best-selling EV globally, followed by the Model Y. Gigafactories operated on several continents. And with every factory, the mission of ending fossil fuel dependency grew more possible. Tesla didn't just build cars. They built clean energy systems. Solar roofs. Powerwalls for homes. Grid-scale battery solutions for cities. Elon's dream of a sustainable energy future was becoming a reality, not just an idea. In 2025, Elon shocked the world again by announcing that SpaceX would attempt a Mars cargo mission within the next 2 years. Most thought it was too soon. But Elon believed waiting was more dangerous than trying. We don't have forever, he said. We need to become a multiplanetary species now, not someday. By 2026, the first robotic Starship launched to Mars. It carried solar arrays, a water extraction system, and communication hardware. It landed, hard, but intact. Robots deployed and began preparing for future human arrival. In parallel, Elon's neurotechnology company, Neuralink, showed early results. A paralyzed man was able to control a computer with his thoughts. Though early, it showed potential to help millions with neurological disorders, and even, someday, to bridge the gap between AI and human intelligence. The Boring Company had finished the first high-speed tunnel in Las Vegas and had broken ground on new city-to-city routes. People laughed when he launched a company to dig tunnels. They weren't laughing anymore. The critics never really went away. Elon's management style remained intense, demanding, and occasionally brutal. He worked long hours, answered emails at 3 a.m., and often expected his staff to do the same. His tweets sometimes sparked controversy, and his blunt opinions angered investors, politicians, and the press. But he didn't seem to care. He kept building. In 2029, the first human crew left Earth for Mars. 6 astronauts aboard Starship, trained and supported by the most advanced AI systems ever created. The journey took nearly 7 months. When they landed, 1 billion people watched live as humanity stepped onto Martian soil. Elon Musk cried. He wasn't on Mars, but his dream had made it there. Back on Earth, people began to think differently. Students studied aerospace engineering and planetary science in record numbers. Governments took climate change and innovation more seriously. A generation that grew up seeing rockets fail and succeed in public now believed that impossible problems could be solved, with courage, data, and grit. By 2030, Elon had begun designing Martian habitats powered by solar energy and water pulled from under the soil. The goal was clear, a self-sustaining colony. A second crew mission launched. Then a third. Starship landings became routine. Mars was no longer a distant hope, it was an extension of Earth. Elon Musk continued working almost non-stop, dividing his time between Mars plans, AI safety research, next-generation batteries, and the ethics of technology. He became a controversial but undeniable figure in world history. Some loved him. Some hated him. But no one could deny the results. Final lesson. The story of Elon Musk is not just about rockets, cars, or Mars. It's about belief. About going all in when the world laughs. About facing failures so large they bankrupt others, but standing back up. It's about asking, what if we tried, instead of, what if we fail? He did not have superpowers. He had willpower. He was not the smartest in every room, but he asked the hardest questions. He wasn't always right, but he was always learning. His lesson to the world is simple. Dream big. Work hard. Accept failure. Never give up. Because the future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who build it. Author's note. This is a story, blending real events up to 2025 with imagined events that could happen in the future based on Elon Musk's public goals and vision. These future scenes are fictional and meant to inspire readers to believe in bold ideas and perseverance.